Hi, good morning friends. The last video I explained about the introduction to the software testing, types of software testing, why do you choose software testing as a career, required skill set for the test engineer. These are the topics we discussed. In this session, I am going to explain to you about the software development life cycle. Apart that, we discuss real-time project execution and expected project to team. What are the common problems in software development lifecycle? When do defects will arise while developing software application? When testing activities should start in software development process? Another important one, what is quality assurance, quality control? Difference between this quality assurance and quality control, where software testing comes under. These are the topics which I am going to explain to you in this recording session. Okay. Now, coming to the first thing, software development lifecycle. The software development lifecycle, or we can say system development lifecycle, is also called as system development lifecycle. What it is? So, it describes development process of software project or product to fulfill the client requirements within the specified cost and time. So, it describes development process of software project or product to fulfill the client requirements within the specified cost and time. That means we can say it describes systematic approach followed by software company to develop the software application with the client requirements within the specified cost and time. This is software development lifecycle. Various phases involved in the software development lifecycle, like requirements collection, requirements analysis, design, coding, testing, release, and maintenance. So this requirements collection and requirements analysis, both we can combine, we can say requirement phase, design, coding or implementation, testing, release or deployment, and maintenance. In simple, we can say requirements collection, requirements analysis, design, coding, testing, release, and maintenance. So understand my here, what is software development lifecycle? It describes development process of software project or product to fulfill the client requirements with various phases involved in the software development lifecycle, like requirements collection, requirements analysis, design, coding, testing, release, and maintenance. Okay. Now we'll see one by one phase detailed way. But interview perspective, if they ask that what is software development life cycle, you have to explain the what it is, what are the phases involved. For our understandability purpose, each phase more detailed way I will explain. What is the first phase? We have requirements collection. Who is responsible? Marketing executive or business analyst. Marketing executive or business analyst. What he will do? So he will going to collect the business requirements. From where is going to collect? From the client who needs software. Okay. So in the requirements collection phase, business analyst will collect the requirements with an interaction of the client. Whatever requirements are collected, those are documented as BRS, business requirement specifications, or user requirement specifications, or client requirement specifications. Business requirement specifications or user requirement specifications or client requirement specifications. what type of information this BRS is going to be describes. BRS describes the brief description or core business logic of the client in terms of who are the users for the application and the required services for those users. This kind of information. BRS describes a brief description or core business logic of the client in terms of who are the users for application and the required services for those users. Let us take an example. If I go for banking application, so who are the users for the banking application? Account holders. But only account holders. Are you going to open the application? Are you going to create the account? Like Gmail, how do you create account? Same way you can open the HDFC Bank. Can you create the account? No. Then how? Generally, you have to go to the near branch. You have to submit your documents. So bank employee is going to take your documents. He is going to fill the registration form in the application. That is what the banker is going to do. But given information is correct or not, that approved by the administrator. That means in general, if I go for the one bank application, where we are going to find the this kind of users: administrator, banker, then customer. Generally, administrator, what type of services required if it is a banking application, who can he need to create the new customer and modify or delete any existing customer information, create new employee and modify or delete any existing employee details. Banker, what he can do, he can go for the he need customer registration service. Payments, receipts. Payments means if some customers are going to withdraw their amounts, the details has to be maintained in the application. Receipts means some customers are going to deposit their amount. Some customers are going to deposit their amounts. The details has to maintain in the application. Okay, this type of services required. If I go for the customer, what type of service is required? View account summary, fund transfer, bill payment, change password. This type of services required for the customer. This type of information only given by the BRS document. But it is not detailed description. Why I'm saying it's not detailed description means if I want to go for the customer registration, one form is required or not? One form is required. Different fields are required. Okay, so like edit boxes are required. Some drop downs are required. So how many components are required? How the functionality flow will be registration functionality. So this edit box, what type of characters it allows? This kind of information we are not going to find in the BRS document. Okay, because of that, so BRS is going to describe the only brief description or core business logic of the client. So once this document is prepared, then what they do here, the business analyst will going to conduct the one meeting called feasibility study, or also we can say kickoff meeting, feasibility study or kickoff meeting. So why this type of meeting is going to be conducted means in order to confirm whether project is acceptable or not. What type of factors they are going to analyze here? First thing, finance feasibility. To develop this kind of application, how much amount it will take? How much amount client paying for us? So is there any financial benefits when we develop the application? Next, time feasibility. When client expecting the project, so how much time it will take to develop? Is that possible or not within the specified time to deliver? Next, requirements are reliable or not in terms of technology to develop, technical possibilities. These are the factors are going to be analyzed. If project is acceptable, then a business analyst will intimate to the client by releasing a request for proposal on document. So this document describes that terms and conditions to accept the project. That means which requirements we are going to develop in application, how much cost it going to take, how much time it will going to take to deliver the application, this type of agreements. Another document called Service Level Agreement, SLA. It describes services which are providing by the company if client got any issues or any problems while using the application. Okay, so these are the activities are going to perform. There is a business analyst is responsible in this first phase, requirements collection phase. After that second phase, we have the requirements analysis. Who is responsible for the requirements analysis means generally system analyst. He is the responsible. He is going to study the all the client business needs which are described in the BRS. Based on that, he is going to prepare the one document called SRS, System Requirement Specifications or Functional Requirement Specifications. This FRS document describes detailed functional behavior of each component in application. The FRS describes detailed functional behavior of each component in application. I will show an example here. BRS to FRS to get the idea here. This is the BRS document which I am trying to open. Any project ready document looks like this: e-banking business requirement specifications version 1.0. That is the title we are going to call. Then history, who prepared the document, the type kind of history we are going to find. Then to whom we are developing the application. Now we see a small requirement how they describe. Admin task. This module allows admin to define and manage master data such as branches, roles, users, and employee of the Ranford Bank. Branches which allows admin to define a new branch for Ranford Bank. That means administrator can create the new branch in application. That information they given. Like the brief description, there is no functionality flow described. But same thing, if I go for the FRS document, this is e-banking admin FRS version 1.0. It is only admin mod related FRS. Now here, this is FRS document only for the admin module, which have around 40 pages. Whereas this BRS document, entire project, we have the 6 pages. You can understand the number of pages in terms of content, how much it is going to. Only one module reader FRS document have the around 40 pages. Now, this is the requirement they given, or they said administrator can create the new branch. Okay, how that is going to be described in the FRS. Now, see my here. In FRS, they given like this prototype. On dummy screen is given to you how the new branch creation form looks like. Then, in that screen, what are the components are there? Name of the elements, type of the element, what type of action or operation we can do on those components, how it has to respond. Now suppose branch name text box, and they said that, so we can go for the enter or edit. System response as per task diagram they said. Now if I go for that, this kind of information also given. Branch name is there. What is the valid data? Alphanumeric only. Start with alphabet. Minimum of 6 characters. Maximum 40 characters. Mandatory unique. Error state blank. Please fill in the following fields. Branch name. Invalid character. This field should be alphanumeric. Starts with an alphabet. That means here this is the valid data. If you give the invalid data, what kind of error messages should be displayed? Such a detailed way it is going to provide it. For successful software testing, a clear FRS document is an important. This document is very much important for successful software development. In general, 95% of projects are going to be fails due to unclear requirements in this FRS. This document is very much important. The next phase we have the design. Yes, who is responsible for the design? So technical architect, technical architect or design architect, who is the responsible. What they are going to here, they are going to, technical architect is going to study the all the client business needs and application functionality flow from the BRS and FRS. By studying those requirements, first my technical architect will decide what type of architecture required to develop the application, whether we have to go for the Windows based application or web based application, Windows based application or web based application. So based on that, they are going to decide what type of programming language or scripting language we have to use. Generally, desktop based application programming languages are going to use. Web-based application, which you can open through browsers, those were going to call web-based application. This kind of applications to develop scripting languages are required. Which is scripting language you have to use? And based on the budget, business information, database technology also they are going to decide. That's the first thing they are going to do. So application, architecture required, programming or scripting language and database technology to develop the application. After that, he is going to prepare the some documents. GUI design document, nothing but a graphical user interface design document. That means here some dummy screens are going to prepare. Home page on dummy screen, model of the application, registration form, dummy screen. Those we can say prototypes we are going to say. Just now I shown here is the prototype, dummy screen, model of the application. So what is the advantage of this one? We can get some idea by seeing this prototype how this page looks like, better understandability. As well as we can identify mistakes also at this design level only. There's a possibility. That's the design document is going to prepare. GI design document. Suppose if we ask the civil engineer to construct the building, before going to construct the building, he's going to give the blueprint or not. Blueprint of the building is going to give. That is a model is going to provide to you. Similar way it is. Next, database design document. In order to maintain the business information in application or the database structure, how many tables are required? What is the relation among those tables? What are the rules are implemented in that among those tables? This type of information is going to be discussed in the database design document. Third one, technical design document or application design document. Right. It consists two types of documents. One is high level design document, other one is low level design document. What is this high level design document? It describes the number of modules required in project and what is the relation among those modules. That means in simple, root to leaf structure of the modules information given by the high level design document. If suppose if I go for hospital management system application, what are the modules it may contain? This information is going to give a high level design document. So this is the hospital management system application HMS. Front desk is one module, pharmacy is one module, clinical chart is one module, patient chart is one module. But again, under patient chart, we have the other two sub-modules like this. Inpatient chart, outpatient chart. Similar way, front desk is there. Another sub-modules are registration, billing, like this going to be good. Similar, if you tell some modules for the Gmail application, we can say create account, inbox, compose mail, like this we can say. But what is module means? Module means it is a some portion of the application with set of related functionalities. Module is some portion of the application with set of related functionalities. But whenever we are going to split the project into small units or modules, this concept we are going to call modularization. We are going to call. Module means it is some portion of the application with a set of related functionalities. Modularization means splitting the project into small units or modules. What is the advantage of this concept here? It makes it easy to develop the application. Next one, we have the low-level design documents. We have the low-level design documents. So what are the low-level design documents are there? So what type of information going to describe? For every module, there will be individual low-level design document. Okay. So it describes the internal logic of each module with help of the data flow diagrams and entity related diagrams. ER diagrams are going to call each module. This kind of information going to describes. Next one, coding or implementation. Who is responsible? Developers. So based on the actually by seeing the requirement, developers never going to write the programs. These design documents, low-level design documents are very much important for the developers' perspective to write the coding. Based on the design documents, developers are going to write the programs using programming or scripting languages. Okay. The output of this phase is source code document. The programs are output. Next one, testing. After coding, computer programs are available for execution. Once coding is done, computer programs are available for execution. Whereas initially, developers will perform two levels of testing activities. One is unit testing and integration testing. But this kind of testings where they are going to use white box testing techniques are going to be used. Developers. After their testing, application given to the separate testing team. After developers are tested, application given to the QA tester. Testers they are going to provide. Once we got the application, then we can go for the system testing we are going to do. For this, we use the black box testing techniques we are going to use. We use black box testing techniques. After our testing, finally, client also will go and do the testing, which we are going to call user acceptance testing or acceptance testing. About these things, next recording sessions, more detail we are going to discuss. But just I am introducing here, testing means not only test engineers, developers will do, client also will go and to perform the testing. So they may ask one question here, if developers are doing the testing, why we need separate testing team? That is also I'm going to discuss in the later. So when I'm going to explain about the white box testing, black box testing techniques, if you understand the difference, then it makes easy to you to know that why separate testing team is required. Even the developers are doing the testing. Okay. So next one, release. Release also called as go live or production or deployment. Release also called as go live or production or deployment. Here, when we are going to release, what is the release criteria? After system testing and user acceptance testing, when a client is satisfied with our work product, when a client is satisfied with our work product, then we are going to deliver the application to the customer for further usage at his work environment. That is the release criteria. When after system testing and user acceptance testing, if client is satisfied with our work product, then we are going to deliver the application to the customer to use at his work environment. That is called go live or production or deployment also are going to call. Next, maintenance. Once we deliver the project to the client, while using the software, client may identify some defects. Yes, there is a possibility. He may identify some defects. Those we can say latent defects, later stages defects which are identified, latent defects, or The client may need some new features in the application based on the present scenario in the market, some more functionalities, some features you may want to add in this their application. Okay, then client will send the CR to the company. CR means change request. Generally, any company is going to maintain the one board, change control board. So the team is going to work on the change request to check whether this change request comes under initial agreement, like service level agreement or not. Based on that, we are going to work on that. Then we are going to deliver the modified version to the client. This is what the software development life cycle process. Okay, next, real-time project execution and expected project team. If I go for the software company, so what is the team members are going to company level, not testing team. Overall, the project execution and expected project team. There will be client and CEO, sales and marketing team or business team who is going to the business proposals and statement of work. There's a feasibility study time they are going to do it is vice president who is responsible for the delivery manager, project manager who is going to monitor the project execution, project lead, technical architect or design. So what is going to design documents are going to prepare during the design phase. We discuss like high level design and a low level design, development lead or team lead, developers like coding, test manager, test management activities, test lead, test engineer who is responsible to validate the application, software configuration management, SCM, that is generally VSS is going to be used as Visual Source Shape, one of the software configuration management tool. That also I'm going to provide how to work with the VSS later recording sessions. Then project repository, that means project related documents are going to maintain there. Then software quality assurance team, process and auditing activity they are going to change control board for change management. If you got any change request from the client to work on that, one board is going to maintain. The technical writers who are the responsible for the project documentation preparation. This is the expected project team. Okay, so these things. If you need these notes, you can send the mail to me. What is my mail ID? You can send the request to me to this mail ID, madhukarqait at gmail.com. You can send it. I'm going to send this notes to you. So as I said, some more topics to be covered. Already this session is taken more than half an hour. So next session, I'm going to provide the other topics to you, like what topics it is. So I'm going to cover in the next session. So common problems in software development life cycle, when do defects will arise, when testing activities should start, difference between quality assurance, quality control. Okay, these things I'm going to provide in the next session. Thank you. Try to subscribe my channel. More updates are going to get.